But man, there's a truth about building with God that I feel like, a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people see the finished product. A lot of people see what God does in people's lives and what God can do in people's lives. But a lot of people also don't see, what goes into that on a daily basis. Because there's going to be times where you're unmotivated. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be times where you start to be inconsistent. There's going to be times where it's hard. There's going to be times where you feel like God isn't listening or God isn't working in your life. Like there's going to be times like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking from experience. Like I'm just be real with y'all, bro. There's times where I've been scared to talk to God, or I've been scared to go to God because of, things that I've done. I feel like I'm not good enough to go to God. And building my relationship with God on a daily basis and starting to be more consistent, bro. What really helped me, actually build that is just realizing that it's a real relationship. It's not just religion. It's not just because you have to. You gotta genuinely, build that relationship with God like He's your brother. Like He's your friend, whatever you want to call it. Because a lot of people think that knowing God or building a relationship with God is about rituals. It's about different rules. It's about appearances. It's about, all the stuff that comes with that. But it's not. You know what I'm saying? The truth is it's a personal one-on-one relationship with the man who created you. The man who placed you here. Just like a friendship, just like family. You talk, you listen, you grow closer over time, you grow that relationship over time, you grow that bond over time. Like that's what, you know, building a relationship with God really is. It's not just about religion and realizing that and learning that throughout time. I can say that that really helped me on my walk with God. You know what I'm saying? I'm not perfect, bro. Like when I make these videos, I don't want to make it seem like I'm better than anybody or I'm perfect because I'm not. I mess up every single day. I'm not the most consistent at times. You know what I'm saying? There's some times where, I fail. There's sometimes where I do things I'm not supposed to, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not perfect. I'm not better than anybody watching this video right now. I'm not different than anybody. But I've realized that no matter what happens, you know what I'm saying? No matter what goes on in this life, that God is going to, love me unconditionally and He's going to be there for me all the time when nobody else is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I've come to realize. That's what I've come to see. And I want y'all to see that for yourself too. I want y'all to be able to build that relationship with God and have somebody that's there for you all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because He loves you unconditionally. No matter if you're close to Him right now, no matter if you're not close to Him, like He's always there. He's always gonna love you unconditionally. He's always gonna forgive you for everything you've done as long as you go there. You know what I'm saying? And part of building that relationship with God is just being honest instead of trying to be perfect. Having honesty over perfection. Like I said, there's times where I've been scared to talk to God and scared to pray because I felt like I wasn't, good enough, if that makes sense. So I felt like I did this and now I'm scared to go to God and talk about it. But the truth is, like, God does not expect you to come to Him perfect. He doesn't expect you to come to Him at your best. He wants you to come to Him broken. He wants you to come to Him when you're at your lowest. He wants you to just be honest with Him about everything. Like that's where a real relationship, gets built. Building that relationship starts with honesty about struggles, about doubts, about frustrations, about, things you might have done wrong in the past or things you felt like happened in your life that weren't the best for you. Just be honest. Like go to God with all your problems, go to God with all your struggles, all your doubts, all your anxieties, your worries, your frustrations. Because like I said, he's somebody that's always gonna be there for you. He's always somebody that's gonna love you unconditionally, no matter what you may be going through in life. And doing that and just being honest with God really helps build that true relationship. Like that's really what it is, man. And it's really about being consistent rather than having a long or a big intensity. That makes sense. Like, it's not about, when you build this relationship, it's not about trying to do everything at once. You know what I'm saying? You can't read the whole Bible in a week. Like, you don't got to do everything at once. It's about talking to God and going to God daily. It's about reading the word daily. It's about praying daily. It's about being consistent, whether it be a few minutes of prayer, whether it be reading a chapter in the word, a scripture, whatever, reflecting, that's what builds that relationship is being consistent. But I know that there's times where, it's hard to be consistent. Like I said earlier, like I'm a person, or I've been a person before, where I've gotten that stage where it's like I'm not consistent with God. I'm not consistently praying. I'm not consistently, reading the word. Like I've been there before, but I don't know how to explain it, bro. But like when you treat it like a real relationship, because that's what it is. When you go to God like He's your friend, when you go to God like He's your brother, whatever you want to call it, like it gets easier to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? And when you realize that no matter what you've done or no matter what you've been through, that God is always there. Like that makes it easier to be consistent too, because you don't get that scared feeling anymore. Like I said, I used to have that scared feeling of talking to God when something might have went wrong or something might not have been my way. You know what I'm saying? But when you realize that, like, God is always there, God is always going to love you, unconditionally, no matter what, that's when the consistency, really starts to kick in. And that's when that relationship really starts to grow. But another big part of a relationship is like, it's not a one-way street. You got to listen, not just talk. And that's something that I've been trying to work on, bro, because, prayer is not just a monologue. It's not just you talking to God. It's not just you asking God for things. It's a dialogue. It's a two-way street. So when you pray or when you talk to God, like learn to pause, learn to listen, and try to feel or be sensitive, to how God might be guiding you, how God might be speaking to you. Just the other day, bro, I'm just be honest, when I was praying, like I took time to just sit there and try to listen to God the best that I could. And I can really say that I heard God talking to me. I felt God in my heart. I felt God in my mind. I felt God in my presence. And I can say that he actually, put something on my mind and put something on my heart. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But when you actually take time to listen, instead of just talking, instead of just asking and treating God like a vending machine, bro, that's where that relationship really starts to grow. Because like I said, it's a dialogue. It's not a monologue. A relationship is a two-way street. It's not just you talking to God. It's not just you asking for different things. Like it has to be a two-way street. So when you do start your walk with God and when you do start to grow that relationship, bro, like take the time to genuinely try and listen. Take the time to genuinely try and be sensitive to how God might be guiding you. And when He does put something on your mind, when He does speak to you, like be obedient. Don't try to do everything on your own. God put that on your mind for a reason. God spoke to you in that way for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So be obedient with what He's telling you to do, or be obedient with, what He's putting on your heart and putting on your mind. And another big part of it is, your community matters. The people you surround yourself with matters. Walking with God, it can be alone, you know what I'm saying? But it's not meant to be done alone. Like I'm just be honest, bro, when you're around people that are not trying to do the same things that you're doing, when you're around people that are not trying to grow closer to God too, or build a relationship with God, like it's hard. It's very hard. That's just like with anything in life, bro. When you surround yourself with the wrong people, you're not going to be motivated to go out there and do something. If you want to go get money or you want to go get this job, but you surround yourself with people who just want to sit in the house all day and scroll on TikTok, like it's gonna be hard to want to go chase after what you want to chase after. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing with relationship with God. Like your community matters. The people that are around you, that matters. So surround yourself with people who also seek God on a daily basis. Surround yourself with people who also pursue God, also pursue that relationship with God, because that strengthens not only your relationship with the people around you, but it also strengthens your faith and it strengthens your accountability. These people around you and your friends, your family, whatever, they're able to hold you accountable, and it does, put that fire in you to go talk to God or go build that relationship with God. So surround yourself with the right people. Your community matters. Like if the people around you are holding you back from God, if the people around you are holding you back from a relationship with God, like just be 100% honest. Those are not the right people for you. Those are not the people that you need in your life. Those are not the people that you need in your corner. So surround yourself with the right people, not just for the worldly stuff, not just for that, but in spirit also, and building that relationship with God. Like I said earlier, bro, the process is not going to always be easy. It's not going to always be sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's going to feel distant. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're lost. Sometimes it's going to feel like you don't know what's going on. You're going to question if God hears you. But growing that relationship and growing closer to God, it takes time. Like I said, it's not always going to be easy. The process isn't always going to be easy, but when you're consistent, when you're persistent in that relationship and chasing that relationship, it's only going to, lead to depth in your relationship with God. It's only going to make your relationship with God better. It's going to bring you more peace. Like, bro, like if you have not yet, man, go build a relationship with God. Like for real, like go pray, go talk to him, go read the word, and just be consistent as you can. Because like I've told y'all before, and I'm gonna continue to tell y'all this, all the time, like God has done so many things in my life that I can't even like fathom. I never thought were possible. I never thought I'd be sitting in front of a camera right now talking in front of 500 people, because like I told y'all before, like I'm a person that does not like to talk. I'm a person that is shy, social anxiety, all that. But I feel like God really placed this on my mind and placed this on my heart to do this. So like that's just one thing out of a million, trillion, infinity things in my life that God has done and God has brought to me, what I'm saying, and blessed me with, so like I just made a video about it, bro. God can move mountains, God can do the unthinkable, God can do the unimaginable, and he wants you to come to him broken, he wants you to come to him hurt, he wants you to come to him at your worst, what I'm saying, so, go start to build that relationship with God, bring him everything you got, all the baggage you got, the worst parts of you. Like he wants to heal that. He wants to fix that. He doesn't just want a religion from you. He doesn't just want you to do it because somebody tells you to, but because you actually want that relationship. Relationship over religion. God does not want that religion from you. He wants that real relationship with you. The real honest relationship, the real raw relationship. So even if you got to start small, like start small, just go pray, go talk to him. It's your first time, bro. Like I pray that, God comes into your heart, and I pray that God comes into your mind. I pray that God, heals you from everything, even the things you don't speak about. I really hope that, you start to see God in your life. And I really do hope that, you start to build that relationship, and when you do start to do that, man, just stay consistent and, be as honest as you can with them. That's how that bond and that closeness with God really grows. So like I said, if you have not yet, man, just go build a relationship with God. Go start talking to God, go start praying, because, like I said, like he's done so much in my life and a bunch of other people's life that I never thought was possible. But it's not always gonna be easy. It's not always gonna be consistent. It's not always gonna be, the easiest process. But I promise you, if you stay consistent throughout that process and you stay as close to God as you can, bro, there's gonna be a lot of things in your life, a lot of pieces in your life that move that, like I said, you never thought were possible. But that'll be all for this video, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like this video, go hit that sub button. On the way to 600 subs. Appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all in the next one.